Welcome to the Oldhammer Podcast, the podcast where life meets the mats. My name is Sam, and this is my good buddy Gordon. Hey, buds, how you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm all right. What are we talking about today?
Well, this is our first official video, our first official podcast. So we're just gonna probably introduce ourselves, talk about a bit of our background and why we're here and why we're doing this. And well, I'll get started first.
How about it?
I am a blue belt. I started Jiu-Jitsu. What year was that? That was a long time ago. In 2006, I think. I started in 2006. I trained under Marcus for 2 years and was going like once or twice a week and got my blue belt. And then after that, I think I stopped at 24. So now 14 years later, I picked up the sport. And that's the gist of it. How about you? Want to give your bio?
I started Jiu-Jitsu, I guess it was 2007 because you got me into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I trained under Marcus Stores as well. Eventually I got a blue belt too, but oh man, I was going like twice a week, once a week. It took a long time. Also, my intro to the sport got some setbacks, after I was like a third, fourth stripe white belt, because I had some injuries. I got staph infections, stuff like that. So that kind of set me back for quite a bit. But I mean, beyond that, you and I have been friends for, 24 years?
Something like that. Well, we knew of each other in elementary school, and we didn't start hanging out until like grade 9, grade 10 in Mr. Pong's science class, for the sole reason of kind of like why this whole podcast is named Oldhammer. If anybody knows anything about the Warhammer tabletop game, Oldhammer is a reference to the old fantasy game.
Yeah.
So that's all was it the Mark of Corn, or was it the Chaos Mark?
Marks,
yeah. That on your like binder, I'm like, yo, is that Warhammer? And he's like, yeah, it is. And then that's how we became friends. That was it.
Like, how do you know about this? And then we just started rapping.
Yeah, that's it. And to this day, we're both big fans. You play. I have owned miniatures, but I have not played a single game, mainly because I only like to look at the miniatures, and I can't paint. I'm abysmal at it. But I love the lore. I'm a complete lore guy. I could care less to play it, but I would love to have every single book that's ever written.
Yeah, man, it's a great expansive universe, but it also feeds into my love of jiu-jitsu and combat sports because it's competitive, but it's just fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's a strategy game, just like jiu-jitsu. It's strategy.
Yeah, you're thinking back and forth. You're playing moves. You're planning ahead. Yeah, it just feeds into the entire ethos of why we do this. Only difference is nobody jumps across the table and tries to strangle you. If maybe they do. I don't know, to GT
sometimes.
But they're not actively trying to do that like when we train. Because 14 years later, and I'm back training with you. Mm-hmm. You and I got back together after a long hiatus, and we started rolling again and remembering things, and it's been crazy. It's been so much fun, and something I desperately needed too. That like you were powerlifting forever, and then you took a hiatus for that. But I know I've still been lifting, but it's just not the same.
No. Because I left Jiu-Jitsu. The typical story. A couple of reasons why. I guess we can get to that another time. But one of the reasons, not the main reason, people like to think it's the main reason, because I met my wife, the then girlfriend, and she mellowed me out because I was like kind of a bit of a hothead. And depending who you're talking to, I'm still a hothead. But like I mellowed out when I met her, and then I just needed to compress. Was it compress or decompress? There's the word, not depress. Yeah, but like decompress away from jiu-jitsu, because like when I competed in jiu-jitsu, number of times. And when I was training, it was like, even though I was only going twice a week, because that's all I could afford, because even back then, jiu-jitsu was super fucking expensive. Um,
Yeah.
I needed I needed to train and to work and to go to school all at the same time. So but the politics of jiu-jitsu, at least where we were training, was becoming like really heavy. So taking a step away. Also, I got also like a nasty like a wart slush fungal infection that like spread across my neck, so I couldn't train for like 6 months. So that allowed me to step away and kind of like look at the whole picture. And when I came back, I realized this is not what I wanted. Not jujitsu. I still wanted jujitsu, but I was so burnt out from the politics that I had to leave. Then when I left, I was like, there's a void I had to fill. So I just started lifting weights. Like I always lifted weights. You got me into lifting weights, I think grade 10.
Yeah, I used to
And
come over to my dad's little home gym, which was some cast iron plates and
yeah,
that were rusting. Like
yeah.
bench press was made out of wood. I still have it, by the way.
Yeah, still you still have the same bench, right?
Yeah, well, I bought a better bench. Don't worry, everybody. I'm not still benching on a wooden
Yeah,
bench.
no. He's got nice
Yeah,
stuff.
I still got the
Real nice
original
stuff.
one. It's
Yeah,
it's actually got about 1,000 pounds of sandbags sitting on it right now.
yeah.
It's a sturdy
So
ass
it's
bench.
all it's evolved, right? It's like transformed. But the gym, you have your gym now. The setup's quite nice. Your home gym, and to everybody out there, this will be for another day. If you can afford it, if you have the space, get a home gym. Like fuck
If
the
you
public
have
gym.
the will, like I can't tell you how many people, unfortunately, like try to do a home gym and they buy all the equipment and then it just sits there and collects dust.
Yeah,
Like put it in a
yeah,
place where you know you're going to use it and test it out first. But
yeah,
I wouldn't have it any other way. You got a home
yeah,
gym, I got a home
yeah.
gym.
Yeah, just it's a bit of a sidebar, but the home gym thing is, uh, don't get a home gym if you like the gym environment, like going out there, seeing random people, chicks like half naked, and talking to your bros. That yeah, you need to go to a public gym or a private gym for that. Where there's more than one person, which is just you in your home gym. But if you want to alleviate yourself of all that bullshit and tripods and cameras and all that stuff, you get your own gym and you never have to wait for equipment unless you have children like me who run around my gym while I work out. It's never nasty, and unless you never want to clean up after yourself. And you can buy the nice stuff. You don't have to wait for a bar. You don't have to be like, oh, does this gym have this equipment? No, you can buy it if you can afford it. Like I am not to get the wrong there. I'm not rich. Okay. I save up and I buy. Okay. That's how I do it. Over a course of 10 years. Okay. It took a long time.
I'm the same here. I'm on my third power rack, I think, because I just got one, saved it up, swap it up. This is the last one I think I'll ever had just because of space. But
Yeah.
like, this
Well, you
is
got a monster. You got like a rogue brake.
it's a
So
road. Yeah,
yeah, that thing's awesome.
it's a pretty good rack, but it took me. Let's see, I started weightlifting when I was 14 with my
Did
dad.
you? I thought it was young. I thought it was younger than that. I guess I just came like a year after.
Yeah, no, I think he only started me at 14. Maybe I started hanging out with him when he was weightlifting when I was 13, but I didn't really start moving anything until I was
Yeah,
14. And we didn't even have a rack, so I couldn't even do squats.
But you had that leg press, which is really neat because it pushes you away, right? It's a pendulum one, right? Which is way better than the other like leg presses. Like
Yeah,
it's
if it was
way,
on a
way
little
better.
more of an angle, you could almost consider it like a hack squat.
Oh yeah,
Angle.
yeah, I guess
It's a little
so.
too low for a hack squat, but
Hmm.
it's easier on your legs for sure. Like the pressure on the knee is better.
Hmm.
I don't use it that much anymore, but I still got it.
Yeah, well, you got a squat rack and you actually squat, so
Yeah, do
they're better.
squats. They're great for you. Learn how to do squats and then do squats. They're great for you.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh
do
yeah.
running Coleman squats.
No, don't.
Compress your spine.
Don't. Yeah, don't squat if your back is broken. That is the key take from Ronnie Coleman. Yeah.
Sure, but like we upgraded. I just upgraded over time. So we
Hmm.
started, like I said, with a wooden bench and some cast iron plates. I think I'm on my third set of plates here because I'd sell them off and buy new ones to help pay for the better ones. And
Hmm.
it took me I'm 38, so it took me 24 years to get the
Yeah.
gym I have now.
Yeah.
So
Sure. Yeah.
patience,
Yeah.
patience in
Well,
all things.
yeah. Well, I've been in my place for 10 years, and it was like in the beginning, I just wanted everything, but you cannot afford everything. Then you just buy what you need. And I think that's the key. Like, don't get like persuaded by all the fancy new gadgets. Because I was going to buy like a Rogue 50 cal, that thing that has the swinging arm that you
Yeah,
can do all the like it oscillates around and everything. I was going to do that. Then so then I talked to my wife. She's like, Joyce was like, why the fuck do you need that? And that time it was just powerlifting. I'm like, oh, because it's cool. And
cool.
you know,
Yeah,
yeah, more is better. She's like, it's like $2,000. You don't need this. I'm like I kind of think I do. And she's like, no, don't be stupid. She usually doesn't like infringe on like what I buy. Sometimes she's just like, oh, whatever. She doesn't. She might roll her eyes up. But that was like the one and only time she looked at me is like, that's stupid. Just,
is there any? The only things I think I have now where I'm kind of like, I never use that are fairly inexpensive. Like I got a couple of these handles for doing farmers carries.
oh yeah, I seen those. You got
Yeah,
those off Amazon, right? Yeah, I seen those. They
yeah,
look pretty cool.
they are pretty cool. I've used them a couple times, but just in my regular training, I don't do a lot of farmers carries anymore. So I have them and they just kind of sit around and they're cool, but I don't use them. But then again, I think they weren't that much.
Yeah, yeah, no, I
They weren't
seen them.
that
They're
much.
not.
And then I got a Viking press bar, and the only reason I don't use that is because it takes too much time to set up,
And
and
it's
I have to
space
go
too,
through
right?
mine. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know in my head how I'd set it up, but I need I don't have the dumbbell rack I want that a landmine attaches to. But
Hmm.
it's good for shoulders if you actually use it. But it's just sitting on there collecting dust.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
eh, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just more like because like you don't have the space for it, and the setup just takes too long. It's not like time efficient where you can
Yeah,
just
no,
do shoulder press.
no. If you're already halfway through your workout and you got like two exercises left, do you really want to throw up a bar on a landmine and set up this thing so you can do a Viking press? No, no.
Not
I'm
really.
already tired. I've done my main lifts.
Hmm.
That's just for fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
for sure. But
But
tell me about coming back to jujitsu.
oh, coming back to Jiu-Jitsu, yeah, it's been on my mind since I was like basically when I competed in powerlifting in like what was 30 or 31, and I stopped at 32. So I only actually was only competitive for like 2 years, and
But you
then
still got two deadlift records.
yeah, I had two provincial deadlift records. So we live in BC, so I had the BC record for like 2.5 years. Now like, there's some kid that like just shattered it. So I had the deadlift record at the 105 weight class. So that's what I was like walking around like 240 and like would diet down to like 230. Now I'm walking around like 200 pounds. So nowhere as big or nowhere as strong as I once was. But yeah, I won two provincials back to back years. Yeah, I was like, this has been really fun, but it hasn't filled the void in my heart. And then people are like, what are you gonna do? Well, I was like, well, maybe I'll go back and do like amateur boxing, or even crazy enough to like do pro boxing. And then people are like, oh, you're too old to do any combat sports anymore competitively, right? You should just box for fun. I'm like, oh, but I'm not the kind of guy who does anything for fun. I think me. I'm like very competitive,
You got a
and
purpose.
yeah, I have to have a purpose. I cannot work out for the sake of working out. Like that's what I was doing. So after I stopped powerlifting for 4 years, I was like, I went from a guy who was super regimented in my training in powerlifting, won the titles, and now I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna work out for fun. And then like the pandemic hit and all that stuff, and nothing was really happening. So I was just working out, and it was mind numbing. I was like solely like if you look at my like journal, everybody who works out keeps a journal. Like it went from like neat writing, everything was like regimented, like structured, and then it devolved into this squiggly mess because that's how my training was, which is like oh whatever. But I was like trying to I guess have my cake and eat it by training boxing at home. And there was the pandemic, so I didn't want to go out to train. Like the gyms weren't happening, and I wanted the full boxing experience. So like I did want to go and start boxing at the gym, and during the pandemic wearing a mask. I thought that was fucking stupid. So I did that. Yeah, I did that for a while, and then I was like, maybe it's time to go back to jiu-jitsu. And I was so far removed from like the jiu-jitsu world and MMA that me, once I get involved in something, I dive 100% deep. I just start in digesting jiu-jitsu and MMA for months on end. Even before I called you up and this meet up and do jiu-jitsu again, it was like a year straight. I was like watching like 2 to 3 hours of jiu-jitsu and MMA, and it was like, holy shit, the meta has changed. There are so many fucking leg locks. That's how like far removed I was from jiu-jitsu. I was like, why is everybody leg locking? This is insane. Who is Gordon Ryan? And I was like, besides having the same name as me, I was just like, who's this fucking guy? And like, is he the greatest? Because when I left, Hodge Gracie was the greatest. And now it's like, who the fuck is this guy? And I was like, holy shit, he's so fucking good. And he's doing no-gi only. The fucking thing I always wanted to do. And just in case for people you'll get to know me, I absolutely hate gi jiu-jitsu. Okay, no disrespect to the gi. I hate it. You don't mind it
so much,
but I detest it.
No-gi. I prefer no-gi, just like you. I think it's a more fluid version of it. I think
way funner.
Gi offers a lot of opportunities for things that you can't really do without the gi. That's not 100%. Shitting on the gi. The gi has got plenty of advantages to it.
Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges, man.
Yeah, we did gi for years. I got nothing against the gi.
Reluctant, because I started no gi. The reason why I only got my blue belt, I say only, is because the first year of training, I only did no-gi, but it was just me and like 4 other guys, and it was kind of like half-assed. Like for them, for me, I was going like balls deep, but nobody really wanted to do no-gi. And they were like, oh, come to the gi class. The gi class was like literally 5 minutes after the no-gi class would end, and then we'd go to that ridiculous old school Carson Gracie style, like a Brazilian warm-up, which is not a warm-up, it's like calisthenic shoulder destruction.
We'll get into the whole, types of jiu-jitsu schools and where we came from on that level on another episode.
No. Again, that's a whole multiple episode of how bad that was. But yeah, anyways, I got back into jiu-jitsu. I finally called you. I was like, okay, I've ingested it. Now I gotta like implement it. And then we met up a couple times, and we were meeting up like once a year, once every 2 years. The only reason we kept in touch was through freaking WhatsApp and Instagram. That's when we both use it. Now we're like dinosaurs. We don't use it at all. And then, but that's how we kept. Exactly.
No more.
But that's how we stayed in contact. And then I had kids, and then you had a kid, and then it's just like, oh, okay, now we go to our kids' birthday parties and stuff like that, like old man shit. And then I was like, bro, just I remember it was like, I think it was like December. I was like, hey man, or even just before December 2022, I was like, hey man, you want to start training jiu-jitsu again? And I was like, because I've asked so many people to train, and I want, go ahead. What?
It's like in that moment, I said, yeah. And what's funny about that is that moment was the same moment that you asked me about doing this podcast.
Yes, like, I remember that.
Do it? Yeah. I actually have been thinking about this for a while. You just said it, and I want to do it. So we're going to do it. It took us a minute, but we got training again.
Getting training was the most important part. So we started training, and you bought mats, I bought mats, and there was a bit of a lull in between because, you were busy and I was busy, life. And then finally we got the mats, and then we only met up once a week. But in the beginning, it was just a sloppy mess. It was like, holy shit, we suck. We suck.
Remember how to move,
dude. I was sore for by the time it got to the next training session, like a week later, I was destroyed. But anyways, we started training once a week.
Yeah, after we trained, I was like, I need an ice bath. I need to buy an ice bath because I'm old. And I don't care about hypertrophy or any of that shit. I just need to feel okay by tomorrow.
But for me personally, I was just like, man, like I feel like an old man. Like I usually don't feel like an older man, like because we're middle aged now. And so I was just beat, but I realized, it's just a new stimulus. It's been a long time. You've been through this square and don't like whine and bitch or like complain about it. And then we started training only once a week together. And since I think it was like April, and now, what is it now? Oh my God, it's end of September, training once a week together and training the format that we do, like how to, we attack, not mindless moves. There's a system to it. We have gotten so much better. Like we are better than when we left off.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 14 years later, mind you, like people listening now, like you can do it. You can take a decade or more long break. And if you're still in shape, that's the caveat. You have to be in shape. Okay.
That's
good shape.
I was never in great shape ever. I'll say that right now. I always carried a little extra body fat. But
that's his diet. That's not like
diet.
Lifting.
Yeah, no.
Because you're strong as shit.
Thanks.
I just want people to know that he's strong as fucking shit. You do not want this man on top of you, man. It's brutal.
I appreciate that. But like I was never the top tier gonna run 50 miles type dude. But the thing is, you don't need to be in top tier shape to get back into jiu-jitsu. No. But if you stay in relatively good shape over time, you take a decade off, you're gonna be sore for the first 4 weeks that you're doing it, and you might be scrapped, but you'll pick it up.
Exactly, you'll pick it up, and the point is, what I'm trying to make is that this is the point of the whole podcast is to tell people who haven't done jiu-jitsu, but primarily to the people who are thinking about coming back and kind of feel that it's a very daunting like task to go forward with, thinking that, oh man, it's been a decade or so, like I'm going to come back jiu-jitsu, the meta has changed, like guys are leg locking now and stuff. It's okay, you'll catch up, and you'll catch up faster than you think if one, you're in shape and relatively injury free. Okay. Number two, that you go to a school that fits you. There's so many choices now. You're like, we're probably more spoiled for choices now in terms of the school jiu-jitsu schools they are than before. There used to be like 5 or 3, and they were so far and few in between, right? Now it's like, okay, and you have the damn tutorials from BJJ Fanatics, Fanatic Wrestling. It's been so.
You can subscribe to something. You don't have to. You can start looking up stuff. You can get your mind going again.
Yeah,
and the body will follow.
And I think it's because you work out. Don't come in here, guys. And if you have children, make sure you tell them not to interrupt you beforehand. But yeah, like the whole point is that if you work out and you chart your things down, even if you don't, like be systematic with your training. What I mean is like literally be like, today I'm doing half guard, knee shield, like passing. Like you gotta be that specific, and I'm only gonna drill that one move, maybe 2, and then but it's all within the same vein. And then you roll hard with your training partner, and then if you have time, you do like specific drills pertaining to that same move you use, because otherwise you learn 700 moves like the old school way of teaching jiu-jitsu, and then you retain 5, and then you have no fundament. Your base of jiu-jitsu is so weak. It's so weak. That's why I want people to realize that you can come back if you take it with that approach. 1, be healthy or relatively healthy, have realistic expectations, and accompanying that realistic expectation, you can easily weigh in with systematic training. That you have to do the work on your own. There, with the advent of not social media, but so much like online tutorials, like easily digestible, very affordable, like tutorials, you should be able to come back within a year and be like better than you ever were when you left.
Sure. And that's why we're here. We're telling you can come back, that you can train hard, and then you can do it right. But on that note, I think that's going to be a good place to end our first podcast. So for everybody, thank you for listening to Oldhammer. Stay tuned for more. Hit the like and subscribe. We appreciate you.
Happy training, guys. Bye.
Peace out.